So let's start. So yesterday, we learned on page 47 about the essence. So let's continue that. Let's begin again the chapter 7 and go quickly through it. Also for this reason, that Chasidus is an Or Chodosh. That's why Chasidus has been compared to oil. The rosin secrets of all secrets. Okay? Shemen hu nekudus atamtis essence of kol davar. Oil is the essence of everything. Everything meaning in a liquid, and compared to others, you have oil and other liquids. Oil is the essence. This forces us to say, in a sense, that in itself, in its pristine reality, it is separate from everything else. And the Rebbe writes in the parentheses, for if you were to argue and say that it has some association to a particular, the word kol in bold, then you can't say it is the essence of everything. It's already been captured, tainted, predetermined by a particular style. And we spoke about that yesterday at length. We'll just go on now. Elo shehu b'chinas atzmi. And this word is this is Chabad lingo in its best. When you say someone is an Atzmi, right? I wrote a book, Lubavitch Speak. I got to get you guys some copies. You have to memorize this book. if you want to know the lingo of real Chabad, I'm not talking about superficial Chabad. They're talking about from the Kishkis, from the Schmaltz, the way it was for 200 years, especially since the Lubavitch Yeshiva opened in 1897. In Lubavitch, there are certain buzzwords that have a certain connotation. And when you hear that buzzword, you say, I know what he's talking about. So there's the word Atzmi. Now, the word Atzmi means etzem, essence, right? The etzem, hadavar. But in Chabad, it has a very different significance. Atzmi means the core essence in its pristine state that remains that way throughout. So in other words, Yoini, you could be shopping at whatever that market's called, the big market in Eretz Yisrael, Rami Levy. Or you can be walking in a beautiful park, or you could be with your kids on Shabbos at the shul. When someone sees you, he sees Atzmi. The surroundings of Avram and the environment are all very nice, but it's not etzem. It becomes etzem if you're etzem. And if you're not Atzmi, you could be in the Ila at the Kaisel Maravi with the biggest Chassidish Rebbe and the Chassidim. And sorry, and if you're not Atzmi, then the experience is not Atzmi. And listen, halavai, we would have an Atzmi experience once a year. Atzmi is it doesn't come, through, as we said, it's a lot of work to be real, okay? How about in English if we use the word, colloquial words, to be real, to really be real, wherever you are. And not to put on a facade. And just the other day, I was listening to some popular speakers for a moment. Someone sent me clips, and what can I tell you? There's a sellout. It's like you want to entertain a certain segment of the population, so you use words and concepts and ideas, and it's really watering down. In other words, what has to come through is the Atzmi. If the Atzmi is Atzmi, no problem. Use those words in you, but the Atzmi has to come through. Yes, sir.
I was going to say that I use, and I have used for many years, this concept and title of being real And I have to say that when I apply that term, there are very, very few people I know who are real. And it's like such a title of honor in my own eyes that when I feel I can tell somebody that they are real because they are who they are, and it doesn't matter where they are or who they are around. They're not trying to be somebody else. They're not trying to impress anybody. They're not trying to, they are mamash, like just real who they are. 100% of the time, 100% of the places, and it's so rare to find those people.
Okay, but it's something to work towards, but why, like, find those people? First, let's find it in ourselves. It's always easy to find it in someone else. I don't know. I think we should put more emphasis on finding it in ourselves. I'll give you an example. Just Moshe always wants concrete examples, and he's right. When I would come into Rabbi Yoel Kahn's house, and you have to understand what type of person this is. This is a gift that God gives once in a lifetime to the world. And I'm not saying it because he was my mashpia and he was a Lubavitcher. I'm really, anyone that knew him, and hundreds of thousands of people knew him, would say the same thing. They would say the same thing, everyone with their own nuance, their own, right? But that's not the specialty. God gifted him. God gifted Moshe Rabbeinu. Hashem gifted this person with a certain cup and a certain heart. But to see the genuine, I know there's such a word in English, genuinity, his genuineness, his sincerity, Atzmi, or to be real, that was fresh. So for example, and I ate by him many times, and I saw all kinds of things. Right? It's all in this book, all the secrets, what I saw. I put it out there. It's all in here. My 25 years or so, or longer, from 1975 till 2021, more. Anyway, 45 years. So I can come into his house and he's laying on the couch. And he's laying on the couch because he's tired. Now, could you imagine coming into Rabbi Shapiro's house and he's laying on the couch? I don't think you can imagine it. Moshe, am I right or wrong? No. He's laying on the couch, but he's laying on a couch with you standing there. Could you see that?
No. I came into the house. I've been in the house many times. Once I never saw him lying on the couch when I was in the house, but he was obviously it was relaxed. Okay, maybe not quite.
Right. Anyway, and what I'm saying is he was a person who, it's like if you came to this house and you saw him laying on a couch, you should run the other way out of respect. It's like, why am I in this private space? But he didn't care. He really didn't care. And in fact, one second, Moshe. And in fact, if you ran away because of that, he criticized you. Like, who am I for you to? This is so not godly. It's so not God. Now, when some will argue, Melech, if you're a king, you have to see the king in his beautiful state. Melech b'yof techzeno. It's a posik, right? And that's why when a tzaddik, when a rebbe, when a gadol, when a big rav, is ill, you don't show them to the public, and there's always a controversy. How much do you show? How much don't you show? Because it's not respectable. So there is that concept. But this was the specialty of this man. He was so real that he hated that. Who is he? I'm telling you, he hated it. Give you another example. Borough Park, the Shir. There's 100 people in the room. Matzah Shabbos. It's winter. It's early, right? He comes to give a Tanya Shir. As he comes in, everyone rises, and he would just walk and say, if he was able to talk and wanted to talk, he would say, "Stop with your stupidity." Another example. Something happened. I don't go to the details, and I felt that he had a capeda on me, that he had a stern eye, and I wasn't feeling well, and I got scared. So I called him up. So he said to me, "Stop with this silliness," and he hung the phone up. It's like, what kind of, who am I to have a capeda on you or anyone? It's like, who am I? So that's a very refreshing to be around such a person, to be around such a person. And I'm not here to say that I should have not used Rabbi Shapiro as an example. Chas v'sholom, he's a very special person. Just saying, most people, they in a certain way, they present themselves a certain way. And there's a Torah guidance to that. But then you come across, this is for me, Isser being real. And that's why such a person, people flock to such a person, because you don't see this. You don't see a person who is so mevatel himself. He doesn't even realize how mevatel himself is, because it's not by him being mevatel himself. He didn't put himself now into a box called, "I'm going to be mevatel myself. I'm going to humble myself," because that person is the epitome of gaiva. It's like, we laugh at, it says on the Amud, Shavisi Hashem Nilnegdi Samid, and others say, "Oh, Kan Sarach Lifkois, it is now time to cry. Ladies and gentlemen, we are going to cry now. Kan Sarach Lirkod, now we gotta dance." You got the transliteration of Chabad and the Art Scroll Sidurim. Now I'm gonna give you instructions. Stand up, dance, bow down and cry, move to the right. Come on, Anyway, Moshe, now it's your turn.
I don't know. It's a minor point. Many years ago, we were just speaking about this right before you came on, something related. But
yeah,
when we lived in Har Nov, so we davened at the Bostoner shul.
Yeah,
the Bostoner.
I've been there. Great shul. Yeah.
Yeah, and so the Rebbe at the time, it was at the time his son, one of the sons of the Rebbe, of Meir Horowitz. So he invited us to their home for Shabbos Suda, and it was a daytime Suda. And we came in. I don't remember. There might have been a very small crowd besides yourself, very, very small. We came in. It was just our oldest son at the time was with us. He was He was 3, 4. Anyway. Meir stretched out on the couch, very comfortable.
Yeah.
Took our son, kind of like threw him up in the air a little bit, was playing with him in a very nice, just felt like very, very normal, healthy way.
Right, and how did you feel when you saw that?
It was refreshing.
It was real. It was real.
It was real. Yeah, it was real. Yeah, very real.
Yeah, so,
very real.
Yeah. And we just have to realize that, Issa was saying, when I find, and it's so hard to find, because why is it that way? Is it because we're bad? Is it because we're ugly, we're mean, we're disruptive?
No, I think that we are worried. We are worried about how we are going to be perceived.
Correct. And that's the idea of being an Atzmi. That's the idea that to live a life, to work to being an Atzmi, to being an Atzmi. I told you this, but I'll repeat it because it brings out the Nakuda. The Rebbe in his room wore a short sleeve shirt like this. He always wore a short sleeve white shirt. When he came out from Mincha, right, he put on his hat, he put on his kapota, he put on his gartel, and he came out to daven. So I was told that when he went back in, it's like he flipped off his kapota and he threw his hat down, and he went right to the desk and the Gemara, whatever he was doing. But there is, when you come out to the public, you should be, you're a Rav, you're a Rebbe, you're a Tzaddik, you're a Gadol, whatever. There is a. But the question is, mind you, Rabbi Yoel was in Antwerpen, and he looked the same way. He was dressed with a short jacket. He didn't wear kapota during the week. The Russian Chassidim didn't do that. It's only a thing the Rebbe said in the early 50s at some point on kapota. But the Russian Lubavitcher Chassidim during the week wore a short jacket. Okay. So he was dressed with a short jacket, and he didn't look exactly put together. Okay, his beard was very unkempt, and maybe his shirt was I don't know. So the rabbi who brought him to speak and to Vishnitz Chassidim, he was giving a shiur in Avas Yisrael the Sefer in the Vishnitz Rebbe's Sefer. And there was a big crowd. So the rabbi pleaded with him, please, kind of tuck yourself in. And he said, they don't understand. It's like I told you the other day about me giving the Rav the kiss at Simchas Torah. And he didn't get it. And he said to me, they don't get it. Well, this Chabad Rav said to Rabbi Yoel, they don't relate to someone like you who they have the greatest respect for, and they know that's what I came to learn from you and hear your shiur, that you look disheveled, and he pleaded with him, and he cooperated, he but I'm just saying, why did he do that? Because he's not a man, he's a shloch? No, he's elsewhere. So on one end you could say, what kind of pet mensch are you? Or you could see that this is an Atzmi. And the Atzmi, at certain times, another example of how the same Atzmi, Rabbi Yoel, I'm telling you stories that personally happened. I drove him to Monsey. At that time I was involved with the Yeshiva, Chabad Yeshiva in Monsey. And I arranged for Rabbanim to come. It was a nice event and a respectful event. A certain Rabbanim, Hasidic Rabbanim, not Hasidic Rabbanim came. And so I drove him from Crown Heights. So he came into the car first with his jacket, and then he says, wait a minute. And he goes back into his house and he puts on his kapota. He's coming to an irua, to an event with their rabbanim, and it's a certain type of event, here in the middle of the week. No one's in Crown Heights, he didn't wear no kapota during the week, right? He's coming to Monsey. It's not the Lubavitch world. It's a different oila. And they have different expectations. And that you want it to be more successful for L'Shem Hashem. He put on his kapot. He didn't tell me this. I'm just telling you. Well, he changed. I'm surmising what the reason is. You know what I'm saying? He didn't tell me. Oh, I'm changing now because he wasn't that. Okay. Let's go back to the text. 47. V'dover zeh kechol inyonish v'pnimis ha'torah. I'm sorry, I didn't finish the line. Lios Atzmi, V'lios Atzmi, nimtzahu b'chol davar, ki ho Atzmi nimtza b'koil. Right? An Atzmi is found in everything. Look at note 64. He quotes here on page 47 from Torah Or. The essence is apart from all particular aspects, manifestations, or qualities derived from it, and yet it is the foundation and central point of everything. Quote, essence refers to the absolute, fundamental, non-derivative state of any being, the state which transcends revelation. It is non-composite. Manifestation does not involve the essence of being. The essence being the source of the manifestation. Yaini. It's a source, but it's not grabbed by the manifestation. It controls its own destiny. It's not controlled by anything else. Let's go back to the text. Last line. I I want to welcome, I see David Noel, a good old friend from way back from Los Angeles. We met for the first time. David, I hope you're well and gesund and only Yiddish Chassidische Nachas. And continue distributing the Chayenus. ודובר זה ככל העניונים שבפנימיוס התורה. The Rebbe says this idea is like all other aspects of the inner dimension of Torah. Mizbate gam, top of 149. Mizbate gam benigla de Torah. And this is an important akudah. This idea reflects itself also in the revealed part of Torah. This is Moshe, a standard approach of the Rebbe. And I say the Rebbe, even in comparison to the first 6 Rebbes. You don't find in the writings of the first 6 Lubavitcher Rebbes bringing proof to what they say in Chasidus from Nigla. You don't find that. If you explore their writings, you will find it. Who took the time to explore it? And who took the time to teach us that that's what should be done? This last Rebbe, our Rebbe. And it's an amazing thing. I just wrote about this the other day. It's an amazing thing that he did. And he understood the mindset of post-Holocaust generation. He saw that the post-Holocaust generation, the European idea, do it, weil so steht. Do it because this is the way it is. And frag dich kein Kashes, ask no questions. Like Yoni and I grew up in yeshiva with those type of teachers, right? The Rebbe saw that this will not work in America. And as much as he could, sought to change this in the world of education. So too with bringing proof to Chassidus and Kabbalah from Nigla, right? It's not just to answer the Litvak or the Besnagit, who, hey, like I told you, the whole thing with Shoshanok Chazapor in the early 40s, the Frierdiker Rebbe, and the criticism he got from Rabbonim and Gedolim, taking Akavya b'Mahalo and Pirkei Avos and saying a Hasidic heel. Akavya comes from the word Akev. Hallel comes from the word Hillel, praise. A Hasidische heel praises God. Like, come on, are you for real? And he got the letters came in. The Rebbe once said about another matter, he says, the post office got rich from the amount of letters coming with the stamps, the cost of stamps. And the letters came into the editorial department. How can you make such an interpretation? What did the Rebbe do, sir? He found sources in Nigla to support his father-in-law's Hasidic teachings, such as Akavya b'Mahalo and other such things. And he did that throughout the 1940s because that was a crucial time when the attacks were coming on the Frierdiker Rebbe in this issue from various communities. And the Rebbe, that's why he put these lengthy footnotes into the Maimorim of the previous Rebbe. And this was a main part of his work during the 40s, was to footnote well, based on all aspects of Torah, particularly Nigla the Torah, to support the Hasidic Maimorim and insights that the previous Rebbe and previous Lubavitcher Rebbes gave. Here too, in this Kuntish in Chassidus that the Rebbe wrote, right? That he said and he wrote, you see clearly, he says, this idea of an Atzmi being Bechol Davar, and that concept is not just a concept in Chasidus, it's found also in Nigla the Torah. So he wants the human mind, the Torah mind, the Talmud mind to understand this as well. And that's why a person like Rabbi Soloveitchik, Rabbi Yasher Ber Soloveitchik, went crazy over this Kuntris. Went crazy. He just never saw such a thing. Why? Because here the Rebbe took these deep concepts in Chassidus and shows it also in Nigla, as we'll see later on, which he and such people can relate to very much. Although Rabbi Soloveitchik knew well Chassidus and all that, but that wasn't his cup of tea. Was a Rambam, a Reb Chaim, And here comes along the Rebbe and writes such a kuntis with such deep ideas, and Atzmi, and now he's going to prove the concept of the Atzmi al pi Nigla. So let's go further. Ad ka'alocha l'maisa. And the Rebbe says that not only will we prove the idea of Atzmi in the revealed part of Torah, the Nigla, but B'Poel Mamish, we're going to soon see an example, a halachic example that denotes the concept of Atzmi. Mitzad echad on one hand, Hashem and Einem is, and this is it. Here is the example. Hashem and Einem is Sorev B'Shar Mashkin. Oil doesn't mix with any other liquids, practically, like Yonason told us the other day. U'leidach Gisa, on the other hand, Mifafeyahu B'chol Dover, it penetrates into everything. So Yoni, this idea, it doesn't mix, yet it penetrates, is an example of being an Atzmi in your own right, in your own world, and retaining that Atzmi status where you're in a way different, but yet you're in everything. You're different, but in everything. Should I say something came to mind now that's a little tough? You want to hear something tough? You can handle it? Moshe is an Atzmi. Here he is, a Chabadnik with such a beard in Eish Kodesh, and he's B'chol Davar. Now I'm saying, I'll give you an example. That's the point. An Atzmi can be anywhere. Because he's an Atzmi, he can be B'chol Davar. And when you're not an Atzmi, you can't be B'chol Davar. So for many people, they wouldn't be able to do, you know what I'm saying? I have my minhagim, I have my type of rabbis, I have Atzmi. Be who you are. And it's fresh, and if you're really an Atzmi, B'chol Davar. Let me just finish the last paragraph. And that is why the Torahs of Chassidus, the teaching of Chassidus, has been compared to oil. Because for also in Chassidus, shtei tchunot elu, there are these two dimensions. One, on one hand, mitzad inyonei atzmi, from the perspective of the essence of what Chassidus is, einim misoreves b'shum dover, it doesn't mix with anything. Etzem nekudas hachayis shelamayla mispashtus. On one hand, Chassidic teachings is such a teaching that is the essence of life force, which is beyond expansion life force. It's the core of life force. So therefore, the core of life force is not comprised of anything to make it life force. It's the creator of life force, not the created from life force. And simultaneously, on the other hand, Mispashetes Chassidus extends itself. Umifafas b'chol davar v'davar, and it permeates every single type of things, canal, as explained above, like we explained earlier. So this is a very beautiful conclusion to this paragraph, that the Limud Chassidus, the Teiras Chassidus of the Baal Shem Tov. Someone will ask you, this Teiras Chassidus, on one hand, it's like different, and on the same time, it has an impact on everything. So that's why Moshe Chassidus is able to illuminate a Jew who is very far and a Jew who is very close. And that's why it's a mistake to think that the Baal Shem Tov just came for the Amaratzim. Yoni, where we grew up hearing is the Baal Shem Tov came for the simple folk. They were depressed, they were devastated. Baal Shem Tov came just to revive them. Wrong. He definitely did that as well. But he came to revive even the Talmud Chacham, even the great Rav, even the great Baal Kabbalah. Everyone should be revived and renewed, whoever they are. That's what the Baal Shem Tov came to do. That's what the Baal Shem Tov brought. So therefore, Chassidus is a teaching that's shayach lakol. Chassidus does not have any trappings, as people sometimes want to make it in. My Chasidus, I'm a Chassid, you're a Litvak, you're Svardik. Those are all definitions that are created and made up. The core essence of Chassidus is Shayach Lakol. Yes, Yaini.
Yeah, just unmute. So using Rebbe, using your example that you just used with Moshe, which is a fantastic example. I just thought about it now. It's mamish a very good example. How would you put it in a way where today people are trying to conform, meaning they're losing that essence. They're putting the ominous on the lavush, on the hat, on the, you know what I'm saying? Rather than, just be who you are. Like, go to shul, be who you are. You don't have to look like a Lubavitcher. You don't have to look like a Svardisha. You don't have to look like a Chassid. I know, like, every time I go to Uman, like, that's what's such a beautiful part about it. Like, everybody's themselves. There's every shade, every shaven.
Okay, so I think, I don't because of a place like Uman, as an example, or the Ohel, or the Shimon, Klal Yisrael, someone, my son is here in town, so he told me, the Chabad rabbi in Coral Springs said he was 1 o'clock at the Ohel, he flew in from Florida late, and he sees Satmar there, and he goes over to him, and he's not involved in this world, he's teaching kids in a Hebrew academy in Florida, right? And he says, but we grew up together. He comes from real Chabad lineage. He says, "What are you doing here?" Like, for me, this is, I know what they're doing there, but for him, it was like, what are you doing here? Because he's still living in the 70s with that, when Lubavitch and Sat were killing each other. You know what I'm saying? So he said, like, what are you doing here? He's like, and they said, Lubavitch Rebbe is a tzaddik. We go to Kivrei Tzaddikim. So I think, I can say I know that there's been a kind of a moving away from conformity. The problem is that the old guard, and there's plenty of that left, hasn't moved away, or the rigidity of certain leadership in Lakewood and in Yerushalayim, to get them to move away from a certain model is still not there. And the proof is, and I told you this several years ago, Yehuda Rechnitz, who's a great philanthropist, and he supports Mir and many institutions. So about 4 or 5 years ago, remember, we spoke about it. He gets calls from mothers, their daughters, their kids are out of yeshiva, and he couldn't take it. His heart was ripped open. So he decided to write a letter, and he wrote a scathing letter. Oh, no, sorry. So he was in Lakewood, and of course they're going to honor him. And you had to see this. I think they took it off already, the internet. All the Rosh Hashiva, all the Rabbanim, all the Gedolim, whatever, are all sitting there. And Rechnitz is at the podium, and he spoke for like 45 minutes, and he railed it into them. He really did. And he said, this is not acceptable, and all that. So I remember myself and many others, we were saying, great, wow, an Atzmi, a man who stands up to the establishment. A week later, they took off the post, and he wrote a retraction. Why? It's obvious why. Because they told him, if you don't, we're sorry. Money here, money there. And we need your money, boy, but we're not going to change. We have a system, and you don't understand the system. And 1 second, they say, you don't live here, so don't come in here and tell us, you want to open another 10 schools? You got money? Open 10 schools. It's America. It's free. Free country. But don't tell. So, in that sense, Yaini, there still is conformity. But I think that the Amadabar, the regular people, are really going away from that. And they are coming to Numan, to an Oyel, to a Shimon, beard, not beard, frum, not frum, colored shirt, not colored shirt. The issue is to change the school, the yeshiva system, the girls' school system, and there's a lot of work that needs to be done. That because of the old guard. I think we could also say, and I see it in our communities here, and I'm sure it's in Eretz Yisrael too, and Bet Shemesh as well, that there's now a new younger generation who are becoming the mechanchim and mechanchis. And I think there we have a lot more room to make changes. With the old guard, with these white beards, you ain't getting too far. Issa, go ahead.
I'm going to say, I'm not sure that I agree 100% with that it's a problem with the old guard. And I've heard from many people, not necessarily in my generation, but younger, who say they want to be part of a community. They need to be part of a community. And in order to be part of that community and be accepted into that community, it's a package deal. And I've heard those words, a package deal, I've heard from separate people, separate occasions, and in different communities. I had a Kiruv person, a speaker, who stayed with me, and he came up on a Sunday morning from my basement in the guest room, and he was wearing a gartel. And I said, "You wear gartel during the week?" He said, "If I want to be part of Team Bells, I have to wear the Team Bells uniform." It's a package deal. And that's the pressure. That is the pressure.
So what do you disagree with? I don't hear that.
Well, that it's the old guard. These are young people. This is a young generation. These are, and they are willing to sacrifice some of the Atzmi in order to be part of a community.
Okay,
and they find value in being part of that community. They want and they need to be accepted in a community. And that has some requirements that they're willing to sacrifice for it.
Okay, and I understand that and respect that. But you also wouldn't you say that you know that there's there's a group of people and that are rebelling and rejecting that.
100%. I'm not defending it. I'm explaining it.
Right. Okay, yeah. So, no, I was just in his comment, the conformity. So I.
Right, exactly. I mean, the gartel during the week is a perfect example of that. I mean, here he was admitting to me, in as much as no, he didn't feel like he was getting some spiritual energy from putting on a gartel and wearing a gartel the week. I wear a gartel when I daven because that's a garment that's specific for davening. But here he was saying, this is the uniform, and this is this.
Okay, and we have a concept like that in the Gemara in Psochim, mokim shenoagu, minigan mokum. Minigan mokum. The Gemara talks about doing certain things because this is the minigan mokum, and clearly the Gemara is saying that, implying that even if you don't feel that way, this is the minig amokim. What right do you have to come into the place that has a certain way and disturb it? So gartel, you can either put it on, but I've gone through this and I respect them. When I was davening the square here, they wanted me to say the Kor of Kates Mashichi. I didn't want to say Kates Mashichi, so I never went to the Yomad. And I was the one. This Lubavitcher was the one that when someone went over to the Yomad, they needed to say Kates. I was the one that opened my mouth from the back of the, all the way sitting in the back, and I was saying, "Cut of Kates!" I would scream out Kates! And they all looked at me, and they plots, they laughed, here, the Lubavitcher doesn't say Kates, is kind of demanding. What? And I said to them, it's minig amokum. So I choose not to go to the Yomit, and that's it. But the minig amokum is to say Kates. Okay, Chevra, we'll see everyone tomorrow. Have a great day. Shalom. Bye-bye. Take care.
That's good.